Good afternoon. Welcome to the Committee on Education, Wednesday, February 24th, in Conference Room 229, 3 o'clock p.m. agenda. First on the agenda, we have Governor's Message 548 and 549 for the nominee for School Facilities Board, LaJuane Suisu, for a term to expire 6/30/21 and a term to expire 6/30/2025. Is Candy on? Candy, are you there? If not, let's move on to item number 3, which is Governor's Message 550, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the School Facilities Board gubernatorial nominee Chad Farias for a term to expire 6/30/2024. Chad, are you there, please?
Yes, I am. Aloha, Senator Kidani.
Aloha, Chad. First of all, thank you very much for your willingness to serve on this new facilities agency. And we have, I think, just one testifier for all of our GMs today, but we have a number of written testimony in support. So for gubernatorial message number 550, we have Linda Chu Takayama, Chief of Staff, Office of the Governor. Linda, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am testifying on behalf of Governor David Ige, who stands in strong support of this nominee for the new agency. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. You know what? I forgot to read my, I saw my staff jump up. Okay. We all have a dialogue that we must read before each meeting. So, this meeting, including the audio and video of remote participants, is being streamed live on YouTube. You will find links to viewing options for all Senate meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. This Zoom meeting and YouTube live stream event will include the 3 o'clock p.m. agenda for the Committee on Education. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to major technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business at Friday, February 26th at 3 o'clock p.m., and a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. I'd like to take this time to remind our testifiers that due to restrictions on our hearings, we will be limiting testimony to 1 minute per testifier per bill. For the people participating remotely, all testifier audio will be muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify. When I call your name, staff will unmute you and your time will begin. After your minute is completed, staff will mute you so that we can move this hearing along in an orderly and efficient manner. Thank you for bearing with us. And as we were working on the Governor's Message 550 for Chad Keone Farias, and Chad, are you there, Chad, still? Thank you.
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, so, you know, I wanted to ask you a few questions. I did send you a questionnaire, and thank you for responding. But I'd like to ask you if you have, if you want the opportunity to make any opening remarks.
Yeah, I'm just excited for this opportunity, and I thank yourself and the governor for his support. I look forward to doing this work honestly, ethically, and I'm very excited to give it my all.
Thank you. And for our members in the public, Chad Farias is a complex area superintendent on the Big Island, and will be continuing to work with the DOE as well as participate on this new school facilities agency. Chad, what do you see as most beneficial to your role as a board member for the school facilities agency from your 30 years in the DOE?
I think my biggest contribution will be serving at all levels in the Department of Education, from classroom teacher to vice principal and principal, area superintendent, working in multiple areas, all three complex areas on Hawaii Island. I believe I contribute a voice and a vision of equity. I have a great love for our state of Hawaii, from Kauai down into Miloli'i. I visited many of those schools. I've seen our facilities, some that are in pretty bad shape and others that are old and still functioning very well. I have seen the DOE do exceptional work with these facilities from 8 to 2 every day, and I continue my advocacy for the use of these precious resources from 2 to 8 to serve our community, and in looking for various ways to offer this resource to better our communities. I know that the Department of Education land and facilities are some of the best we have in the state, and I've worked in communities where they're underutilized, and we can really serve the better good of all of our communities in that use. So just with that vision, I think I have relationships with many people across the department, and I will use those relationships to bring understanding and to have tough conversations around where our facilities aren't used as efficiently as they should. Those sacred cows have sometimes been danced around because of whether it's community support or because of lack of communication. And so I will bring my knowledge and expertise and understanding in helping get the facility, SFA, off the ground and off to a good start.
Thank you for that, Chad. I know a lot of discussion around school development usually focuses on Oahu. How do you, as a neighbor island complex area superintendent, see the school facility agency benefiting the neighbor island schools and communities?
Yes, I often hear in my job that we're so Oahu-centric. I believe that's true a lot of the time. Not all of the time. I think the neighbor islands offer so much in their own right. I think these communities don't want to be treated like an Oahu school. I heard in Nalehu yesterday about mitigation strategies, a term by a custodian saying, quote, "We're not pro-city." And I said, absolutely, and we won't treat you like you are pro-city. Neither does pro-city want to be Nalehu. So I think having that experience of working with communities on Molokai and here on our island offers many opportunities, especially what we learned in the pandemic on how we share these resources, offering Google field trips to schools on Oahu into Kilauea Crater has been a passion of mine. Likewise, offering field trips from the Honolulu Zoo to students over in small communities like Honaunau and Ho'okena has also been a passion. So I think bringing that neighbor island flair, not making any excuses for the facilities or lack of, but enhancing what we do have and how we offer that to the entire state.
Thank you, Chad. Members, any questions for Mr. Farias?
A question.
Senator Kim.
Aloha, thank you very much for being willing to serve. You know, I believe that the neighbor islands need to be represented, but at the same time, if you're serving on this board, are you going to be able to distance yourself so that you look at everything from a broad stroke and not necessarily just from the Big Island?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Senator Kim. Yes, I do. I pledge to, you know, as the area superintendent for going on 8 years now, we do a lot of our work on Oahu once a month. I did attend school on Oahu. So I know the island very, very well. I understand those communities. But the simple question is, yes, I can. As much as I will speak loudly for the neighbor islands, I do know that my complex area has 5,000 kids. I do know that Bob Davis has 23,000 kids. I understand that in KKP, I have 9 schools, and yet Dr. Mahoy in the middle of Honolulu has 28 schools. So understanding the layout of different complex areas, understanding just basically the numbers, I believe I can be very, very conscientious of actual numbers.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, further questions of Mr. Farias? If not, thank you so much, Chad. Really appreciate your willingness to serve. Oh,
Mahalo.
Senator Kanua has a question for you.
Oh, no, sorry, Chair, it was just more.
You just waving at Chad?
Yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
Chair. I think he's great, and he serves some of the most rural schools in the entire state, so he definitely will bring a unique perspective to the board, and thank you, Chad, for your comments.
Thank you. Members, I believe that Candy Suisu has joined us, and let's go back to the first two governor's messages. Governor's message 548 is gubernatorial nominee Candy Suisu, a term to expire June 30th, 2021, and governor's message 549 for Candy Suisu for a term to expire 6/30/2025. And to testify, Linda Chu Takayama.
Thank you, Chair. I am again speaking on behalf of Governor David Ige, who stands in very strong support of Candy Suisu for the School Facilities Board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Candy, thank you for your willingness to serve. I'd like to offer you the opportunity to make any opening statements if you wish.
Senator Kidani, I am just very honored to have been nominated. I have been with the DOE for over 30 years, recently retired. I just feel that my reach is now beyond just the Waianae community, and I would really like to help out in any way that I can. With my experience working with the different facilities that I've had to work with, being at Waianae High School, from renovating old buildings to building new buildings to expanding and connecting new and old buildings. I feel very strongly about the need to grow the right way with the new school. I also would love to be a part of helping to renovate the older schools. I know we have a lot now that are either sitting vacant or need to be combined with elementary and high school, but I feel also very strongly about helping to perhaps do some teacher housing to help recruit and retain teachers. Whatever I can do to help, I am just very happy and honored to be a part of this, and hope I can serve.
Thank you, Candy, and I appreciate the responses to the questions that I sent you. I would like to ask a couple of those here for the public to hear your responses. In your response to goals for the School Facilities Agency, you mentioned the need to promote the building of teacher housing. Can you elaborate on why you believe teacher housing should be a priority for the SFA?
I strongly believe in teacher housing. I've seen firsthand teachers from back in the 60s who came to Hawaii and were able to get teacher housing, especially in those rural areas. They found housing, they lived in the community they lived in, and they ended up staying. My mother was a part of that back in 1964. She came to Makaha Elementary and found housing before we came over. And my mother-in-law, also who came from Evansville, Indiana, went to Honaka'a her first year and then transferred to Eva, both times finding teacher housing. She stayed. She met my husband, my father-in-law, married and raised her family. But, those are just two very good examples of teachers who came, had housing provided for them. They had to pay, but it was affordable, and they worked and lived in the same community. I really believe teachers, they don't get paid a lot. It's always so hard to find housing. If we could provide for them somehow affordable housing in the community that they work in, and again, I'm going to emphasize the rural communities especially, I just really think we will, in Hawaii, recruit and retain quality teachers so much better than we're doing right now. We're losing the best and the brightest because the cost of living is so high here, or they just can't find an affordable and decent place to live. I know a lot of teachers would like to live in the community they work in, but and that is really hard. And I'm not saying for them to live their entire career. I would say for at least get this started, 3 to 5 years, get them settled in. I really believe that's really going to make a difference. So teacher housing, it's always been a passion of mine since I was teaching. I've tried, through my years to talk to, people who I thought maybe might be able to help out. And I just think now this might be the opportunity to voice a strong opinion and to maybe be in a position to help out. It's going to be one of my top priorities.
Thank you, Candy. And can you tell me what kind of experience you have with outreach to communities?
Well, I've lived in Makaha all my life, well, since 1964, since I was 5th grade. And in my years of teaching at Hawai'i High School, I've sat on some community boards to help build what they're doing now. Maho Organic Farm, when they first started, I was on their board to help build where they are. They went from just chicken coop to now this huge facility. I sit on the board of the Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center with health issues. Also the PBS Hawai'i, and then just building the program at Waianae High School, Seawriter Productions. I just think that all of this, sitting on boards and building program, it all took community involvement. No one does anything alone. And I think it was really important to reach out to community for them to support what we're doing and to grow what we're doing. So I think, for one thing, community support is key, and most importantly, community outreach, reaching out to the community to do the right thing, the right way, and with the right people.
Thank you so much, Candy. I'm really happy that you've taken up the baton and willing to serve on this new agency. I so much appreciate it. Members, questions? If not, thank you very much, Candy.
Thank you, Senator Kitani. It's my honor. Thank you very much.
Mahalo. Moving on to GM 551 as well as GM 552, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the School Facilities Board gubernatorial nominee Alan Ushima for a term to expire 6/30/2021 and also for a term to expire 6/30/2025. Alan, thank you for joining us. Would you like to make an opening statement?
Well, I'm really honored and excited to be here. The combination of, as you know, Senator Kidani and Kim, of about 13 years of work to see this come to fruition. And I really thank you for your leadership on this. I'm also really, really thrilled that I know all of the other appointees, and listening to Candy and Chad, and I'm sure after we hear from Bettina and Harold, the reaction will be similar. Everybody cares about Hawaii and brings different perspectives to setting up this agency correctly. So it's my honor to be before you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And like Chad and Candy, we have just one testifier to give oral testimony, but we have many written testimonies in support. So Linda Chu Takayama, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, speaking on behalf of Governor David Ige, he stands in very strong support of Alan Ushima for the School Facilities Board. Alan has been instrumental actually in making this all come to fruition today. So we strongly support him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. Alan, thank you for sending the questions, the answers to the questions that I sent. I would like to ask you a couple for the benefit of the public and the members. Can you describe some of the benefits that can come from redeveloping schools on the same land with a more vertical footprint?
Yeah, there's so many, but top of mind is we have to provide facilities, learning environments that are safe, clean, and inspiring, not only for our keiki, but our teachers, staff, and community members. They deserve no less. And we have some catch up to do on that, and this bill gives us an opportunity to explore that with the community. But if we look at going vertical and really downsizing the actual land footprint, there's another benefit. It reduces cost of maintenance. And that operating cost is not only the capital cost, but the operating cost reduction can have a very favorable effect on our state's budget, as well as the school's budget. Beyond that, there's intergenerational possibilities as we use the excess land, as we re-footprint facilities. Depending on how we use those other lands, and let's say that there's a growing need for senior living facilities. I've seen it in other jurisdictions where the intergenerational aspects can really enhance culture, learning, and we have an oral culture in Hawaii, and passage of the memories and what's really important about Hawaii can be enhanced at schools as well. There's so many benefits, and we can provide early childhood facilities to enhance that very important age group learning and development. And I think we should also allow for facilities to enhance charter school formation and operation. I've seen this occur in other jurisdictions, and it benefits everyone. So there's so many opportunities in addition to revenue generation to fund some of these new construction projects.
Thank you, Alan. Also, can you tell me how you foresee that the School Facilities Agency will be working with the Department of Education?
Yeah, I think the department has a lot of work on their hands, very important work they're doing, a commendable job faced with what they have to do. Building new schools and keeping up with trends and learning environments, et cetera, I think needs some different perspectives, including development, land permitting, business perspectives in terms of best use of resources, operational budgets. And I think if we work together with the DOE and the existing staff, we can come up with solutions that might help both the DOE and the community come up with great solutions in reducing costs, enhancing environments, and listening to what is really needed in our updated school facilities. It's critical that this SFA work very closely with the DOE and the BOE.
Thank you for that, Alan, and I am very excited to be sitting here and talking about your nomination to the School Facilities Agency. For the general public out there listening, we have been talking about this for many, many years, and Alan, and when he was in another position with Hawai'i Electric, spent many hours helping support us in our goals to do this, and visiting some other schools around the nation that have done just this. So thank you again, Alan, for your willingness to serve. Members, questions of Alan?
Yeah, I have a question.
Donovan Dela Cruz?
Thanks, Alan, for being willing to serve. I guess part of my questioning is the sense of urgency and the timeline of when you guys plan to actually get any projects moving and building capacity. In your current capacity as a navigator, we didn't see as much movement or any movement in getting activities done for economic development or getting different segments other than tourism up, which was kind of disappointing. We're still depending too much on tourism. The timelines that you've outlined are way beyond the governor's term, and I just don't find that same sense of urgency that I would have hoped that you had in your capacity of navigator. And I hope that that's not going to be the case here, because we need to get projects on the ground ASAP. We need to show the public some kind of pilot and build confidence. The other thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is that instead of actually getting projects to work, it's too easy and too quick to go and hire consultants. and consultants that cost us a lot of money and we still don't see results. So that's where I'm a little bit, unfortunately, concerned about your nomination because of what I've seen in your capacity as the economic navigator. So if you can just speak to that.
Sure, I'd love to defend my record. I think there's a lot that has happened as a result of the navigator, and the recovery you're seeing in the economy is a result of safe travels, which we recognize as the biggest current motivator to reopen the economy. So a lot of time was put into finding unique ways to reopen visitor arrivals and departures, by the way, for local residents to go and return in a safe manner without jeopardizing our public health. That was very complex. There was a lot of time and effort and navigation needed to bring all the various agencies, business community, hotel industry, and airlines together to make that happen. And it's working quite well. I take exception to that. We did not do enough. There are very little things that we can do. We can't print money, but the Safe Travels Program is instrumental in restarting the economy. You might recall that we also had the quarantine lifted on intra-island travel for a while.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the diversification, not just.
Well, there's not. So,
in respect to tourism, the navigator you weren't just the tourism navigator. You were the economic development navigator.
So tourism comprises about 20 to 25% of our GDP. Military spending has continued to occur.
But what I need
on the other parts of the economy,
you're going to get projects moving.
To the extent that we could help with the restaurant club, for example, with CARES money, that had a quadruple effect because it helps diversify ag, it helps workers, it helps the community, and it helps restaurants. But you need revenue to restart the economy. It's been about a year now, and we are recovering. So there's a lot that is done. And we couldn't have done it with no budget and without expert consultants to guide. When we first started, the CDC had no guidelines for reopening any of the industry. We had to scour all other states and economies to look for best practices to help our counties adopt best reopening practices. The public health matrix didn't appear out of thin air. We worked very closely with the House committee and the industry to come up with the reopening practices that could ensure safe reopening. There was a lot done. There were convenings, et cetera. So the urgency is there. I think Senator Kidani knows how urgent I feel that we have to build some pilot schools to demonstrate the 21st century concept. We need a budget, we need staff, we can't make it out of thin air, and we're going to work on all of that. I'm also mindful that President Biden may, and we've been in touch with Washington, D.C. Organizations who are really pushing for infrastructure and to make it happen in the school environment, because there's in every congressional district, there's a school or more. So we could maybe get bipartisan support for school infrastructure early. And we have to be organized and ready to take advantage of that if we can, because we don't have the revenues to do it alone. So there is that urgency. This board would not have come together without that feeling of urgency, and the quality of the board would not have come together without that feeling of urgency. We are committed to do whatever we can.
Okay, so in regards to economic navigation, though, there's still other sections of DBID that have very, very little activity. There's HTDC, there's NELHA, there's different components that there's still no activity. And they have staff, and they have budgets, and we still don't have any kind of movement. You know, the governor still hasn't even appointed people to HTDC, so there's no sense of urgency for that either. So I'm just not convinced. I hear what you're saying. I'm not convinced. What I find just a result of hiring consultants?
I am a volunteer. I do not have staff. I can help navigate and connect dots to make things happen, and I think I've been very successful in doing that. If you choose to not confirm me, that is your choice. But I am committed to this project, and I will bring all the resources I have to make it successful.
Thank you. Members, further questions?
Question.
Senator Kim.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Shima. You talked about vertical buildings. So when you talk about vertical buildings, how high are you talking?
What we've seen in other jurisdictions, normally about 3 stories would be the norm. I've seen a 4-story elementary school on a 5-acre campus with 275 students, for example. It varies, but I think 3 stories may be the norm.
Okay, but that's not unusual. Farrington, we had 3 stories, 4 stories. I mean, so that's already supposedly is being done, or so I'm not sure.
Well, there's not, I think as you see some of the, what architects can do and planners can do with going vertical and reducing the footprint, so by statute, I think it's 49 acres required for a new high school in Hawaii. We've seen high schools in other jurisdictions, including athletic facilities, down to about 10 acres by going vertical. And what that does, it increases the the ability to deliver broadband and safety and into the.
I understand that. I'm just saying that's being done now. So when you say vertical, I'm thinking you're talking about higher than that, but you're saying like up to 4 stories, because you also have to consider elevators if you go up too high. And then you have the other issue of the maintenance of elevators breaking down. I mean, there's other issues with taller buildings. Yeah, you might save on some maintenance, but it'll all end up costing in other areas.
Right, and I want to be clear, there's not a one-size-fits-all. We've seen design based upon the location, and frankly, some of the new school designs that we've been watching on webinars rely heavily on using the stairwells and elevators for more of the special needs. But it's pretty inspiring. So I think that as we get into it, the communities will have a say into, but we need to standardize some of the practices to get efficiencies as well.
Right. So like I said, I mean, Farrington has had 3-4 stories since I was there. So, I mean, I don't think that's anything new. I'm not sure why it's not being incorporated into the plans now.
No.
So the other question is, I wasn't quite sure what your answer was about consultants. Is it the intent of this board to go out and hire consultants?
No.
No, okay.
Well, at some point it may be, but I think Senator Dela Cruz was referring to the startup of the Navigator. And I mean, this is a totally different agency.
Right, I'm not talking about the Navigator, I'm talking about this board. And I've seen so many boards. One of my biggest pet peeves is that we keep hiring these consultants, $2, $3, $4, $5 million of consultants. And it seems like, nobody wants to take the responsibility, so they can blame it on the consultant. And I hope that's not what we're just doing, another group of people that's going to go out and hire another consultant. So.
Well, I think the original bill allowed a staff of 7, and I think we're proposing a smaller number with startup. But at some point, we will have to address the needs of doing quality and being able to engage community and building it right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, further questions? If not, thank you very much, Alan. Again, thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
I had a question for all the different nominees, because one of the things is what's their thoughts on generating revenue and public-private partnerships that are not necessarily education specifically, but it will generate money for education activities. So I don't know what their thoughts are, because I think that's important as we talk about teacher pay raises, as we talk about additional funding for maintenance of existing facilities, programs. We're going to need revenue, and Kamehameha Schools model is, having assets to pay for their programs that, which is basically for education. And if the state can move in that direction, the more assets the Department of Education can acquire to build facilities or public-private partnerships to generate revenue specifically for education. So I don't know what their thoughts are on that.
Since I've been involved in this concept for 13 years, I'll take a first stab at that, but I'm sure others have used. What we've seen, the possibilities are as we downsize the footprint of new construction, increase of existing property that can be used for revenue generation or community needs. And every community will have different needs. We've seen projects that work in conjunction with the city, for example, where city offices are located with different entrances on renewed campuses. Revenue generation, as we move, I'll give you, if you look around Honolulu, and we have a Google map produced by PIPA and with some consultants in the past, that will show you the proximity of all the different campuses. And if you start what we call co-locating campuses, by downsizing footprints of the facilities, you free up a lot of land. And those properties could be used for revenue generation, depending on the location and the needs of the community. So you could maintain your schools, build them better facilities, and then free up property for things like Senator De La Cruz correctly points out, could be revenue generating without impacting the school environment. That's a possibility. That's certainly one of the goals that we would look at.
Thank you. Further questions, members? Again, thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Members, moving on to our next item is Governor's Message 553, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the School Facilities Board nominee Bettina Maynard for a term to expire 6/30/2024. Ms. Maynard, would you like to start with an opening statement and tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Senator Kidani, I would love to. Thank you very much. It is an honor to have been nominated, and I can assure you that I will do my very best to serve the state in this capacity. A little bit about myself. I am a 100% product of public education. I very strongly feel that the quality of education should not be dependent on a student's financial situation. I'm an architect, third generation, and was born, raised, and educated in Germany. I came to Hawaii now 33 years ago. You just made me think about this. 33 years ago, and this is home. This is where I now raise my family. This is where I have the privilege of leading a large architectural company, and this is the community that I have proudly served since I'm here in Hawaii. I'm not planning on going anywhere else.
Thank you very much. To testify, we have Linda Takayama from the Office of the Governor. Linda, please.
Thank you, Chair. Speaking for Governor David Ige, he is very pleased to stand in strong support of this nominee to the School Facilities Board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. And members, we do have written testimony also in support of this nominee. Bettina, guten Tag.
Guten Tag.
As a child, my stepdad was in the Air Force, and we lived on Ramstein Air Force Base. so I spent a
Oh.
couple of years there. And I used to speak fluent German, but that was eons ago, so that's about all I know.
It works. It opens doors, and you haven't forgotten. I hope you
Dankeschön,
have.
Dankeschön.
I hope. Gern geschehen.
Bettina, how do you believe your experience as an architect will help with your ability to advise the school facility agency on projects?
I feel that I have that I'm bringing a unique expertise to this board. As an architect, I have the opportunity to define, inform, create physical environments, and whether those are new environments, new construction, or whether those are renovated older buildings.
Thank you.
Buildings and spaces create reactions. They make people welcome or not, and they nurture or not. And I feel as an architect, I have an important role, just like everybody. I have a unique and important role in this commission, or in this agency, sorry.
Thank you. You kind of talked a little bit about my next question as to how you see a building shaping the experience, both positive and negative, for students and faculty who use it. And how does the form of the building shape the function it serves for the people who use it?
This is, it's a beautiful question, because as an architect, it is not just the building that shapes the environment, it's actually also the spaces in between buildings, and the spaces around a building. And all of that together create important environments. And in regards to schools, there are opportunities to create learning environments in particular, and that is exciting. Designing schools is actually something that is particularly rewarding in this field that I am working in. And we do have our office, we have a group that is dedicated to this type of work. And Senator Kim mentioned Farrington earlier. We are very proud to be working on that project right now.
Oh, working with, so Senator Kim brought up Farrington High School because that's her alma mater.
And yours.
It's also my alma mater, and I believe it's Alan Oshima's alma mater. So we have very, very fond memories of Farrington High School. Thank you very much. Members, questions? No further questions, members? Thank you again so much, Bettina, for being willing to serve. Look forward to working with you.
Me too. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. With that, let's move on to GM 554 and GM 555, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the School Facilities Board gubernatorial nominee Harold Edwards for a term to expire 6/30/2021 and 6/30/2025. Is Mr. Edwards with us? Thank you for joining us, Harold. Would you like to give an opening statement and tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure, thank you. It's a pleasure, and I join my fellow nominee's sentiment that it's an honor to be considered for this this position, and I look forward to the privilege of serving. I came to Hawaii 51 years ago, fresh out of graduating from high school on the mainland. Was fortunate enough to go to university and get my degree at UH Manoa. Shortly after that, I went to work for Hawaii Housing Authority and then the Hawaii Community Development Authority. So I got 15 years of wonderful education and development as a state of Hawaii employee. And it was a real privilege to be able to do that. After that, I moved into the private sector, and then basically in 2006, I moved away from the development aspect of the industry back into pure construction, where I've been since 2006. So I think I bring that mix of understanding how things get done in government, how the private sector works, and what is important to the contractor in getting projects actually built in place. So that's kind of a quick me.
Thank you. And to testify, we have Linda Chu Takayama, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, speaking on behalf of Governor David Ige, who stands in very strong support of Harold Edwards for the School Facilities Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And we also have written testimony in support of Harold Edwards. Let's see what questions. So Harold, thank you for your written response to my questions. By the way, I appreciate the feedback. And in your response, you acknowledge that there is a scarcity of resources for public education. So how do you believe the School Facilities Agency can help to address that?
I think it's a matter of trying to reprogram some of the land assets that the schools have to improve the quality of the school itself, and then make some of that land available to generate revenue to turn back into support the school system, basically. Just repurpose some of that land that's not being used at the highest and best use right now.
Thank you. So you talk about generating revenues in which ways? Do you have ideas of how that could be done?
At this point, I don't have any real, preconceived thoughts about we've got to do it this way or do it that way. Obviously, we need to look at the long-term needs of those lands. I mean, a planning horizon as a state agency should be almost perpetual. So we don't want to sell some real estate today to make a quick buck to pay for something and then need those resources, 50 years from now. But I mean, there's all kinds of options to do. I think probably where land values are really high, it might make sense just to, in their surplus land, just make it available and let a developer run with it and not get too complex a project. I mean, the Ho'okana Elementary School in Kaka'ako, back when I was with the state, I think it must be 25 years ago, they talked about doing a joint use facility there, and the complexity of it caused it to stumble for one reason or another. So I think we need to recognize in these days complex problems or complex projects are harder and harder to put together. So I think we've got to look at keeping it simple, but still be able to meet the DOE objectives as well as generate some additional revenue out of the land.
Thank you very much. Members, do you have questions for Mr. Edwards?
I have questions.
Senator Kim, please.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. I appreciate the comment you made about keeping things simple. I think that's really important. I just had a curious question on, you were project coordinator with the Hawai'i Housing Authority from 77 to 84. What projects did you work on?
Oh, a bunch of them. A lot of them were on the Big Island, single-family houses, on Oahu, the public housing project up Waiawa by the police station was one of those. Took over the 10-story elderly project across the street from HHA up on School Street was one of them. Trying to think. I didn't do my homework, Senator Kim. I apologize.
Okay, I was just curious because we've had to deal with the Hawai'i Housing Authority on a number of projects, especially in my area. So I was just wondering if you were on any of those projects. And then I also saw at the end of your submittal that you talked about establishing a balance between speed and accountability. And I think for me, accountability is very important, and I hope that this board will strive to not only be accountable, but also transparent and open so the public can have some trust that you folks are working in the best interests of the state.
Absolutely.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, further questions of Mr. Edwards? If not, I'm going to call for a recess. Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Thank you. We are now reconvening the Committee on Education for decision-making on the gubernatorial nominees, starting with GM 548 as well as GM 549 for the school, confirmation to the School Facilities Board for nominee Lajuain Suisu, also known as Candy Suisu. The recommendation of the chair is to advise and consent. Chair votes aye.
Okay, chair votes aye on GM 548 and 549. I'm going to call the roll for the first one. Chair votes aye. Vice chair votes aye. Senator De La Cruz.
Aye.
Senator Kanuha.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
5 members are present, all voting in the affirmative. Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. And for GM 550, for School Facilities Board nominee Chad Farias, term to expire 6/30/2024. Chair is to advise and consent on Chad Farias. Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye. Any member voting in the negative? Any member voting with reservations? Hearing none, all 5 members present. Your recommendations adopted.
Thank you. For GM 551 and GM 552, for consideration confirmation to the School Facilities Board for nominee Alan Oshima, recommendation of the chair is to advise and consent on both of them. One is for a term to expire 6/30/2021, and the second one, term to expire 6/30/2021. Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on GM 551 and GM 552. Any members voting in the negative? Any members voting with reservations?
This reservation.
On both of them, thank you. With 5 members present, your recommendations adopted.
Thank you. On GM 553, recommendation of the chair is to advise and consent on the confirmation to the School Facilities Board of nominee Bettina Maynard for a term to expire 6/30/2024. Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on GM 553. Any members voting negative? Any members voting with reservations? Hearing none, all 5 members present, your recommendations adopted.
Thank you. And for the last nominee, GM 554 as well as GM 555, to advise and consent to the School Facilities Board nominee Harold Edwards for a term to expire 6/30/2021 and a term to expire 6/30/2025. Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on GM 554 and GM 555. Any members voting negative? Any members voting with reservations? Hearing none, your recommendations adopted with the 5 members present voting aye.
Thank you very much, members. This concludes the Committee on Education.